Well, good morning, good Sunday to you all, and thanks for joining me today. It's November 21st, 2021, and thanks for tuning into the office hour. Hopefully today can answer some of your KNF questions here live on YouTube, as well as the questions that got emailed to me over the past week. And thanks everyone for, just an outpouring of support. So nice to understand how this is affecting people around the world. And, it makes it worthwhile for me to take my Sunday, got a bunch of good farming to do, but taking this time out to really support the natural farming community, support those that are really, putting it out there to be, growing, getting into it, doing natural farming, and supporting our community. So, as usual, I'm going to start today, throw a little Ching here and see what we got. And today is Preponderance of the Great. And it says, there are great pressures at work. By meeting them with modesty and patience, you avoid misfortune and meet with success. So this is the image is of a beam under great load. It sags in the middle and is in danger of giving way. You are in a similar situation now. The pressures of the moment are enormous, and there is a temptation to wiggle away and flee, or to resort to plotting, conniving, and aggressive actions of the ego. It is by resisting this temptation and holding firmly to proper principles that you survive and succeed. This is, in fact, a moment for which you have been preparing yourself for some time. A powerful energy has been accumulated. Imagine a flood pressing against a dam, and it is up to you to direct its flow. If you succumb to fear, desire, or anger, or result to incorrect behavior, the dam bursts and the pent-up energy causes destruction and misfortune. If, on the other hand, you cling to what is correct, modesty, balance, patience, independence, and gentleness, then you will obtain the aid of the higher power, and the accumulated energy will be directed toward creating a profound success. What is called for now is quiet integrity. With others, no matter how they may assault you, remain modest and patient. In your actions, seek to penetrate gently and steadily rather than forcibly and explosively. Meet the difficulties of the day cheerfully and resolutely. By taking great care now, by remaining correct in every moment, by embodying the principles of the sage, you make possible the arrival of good fortune. So I definitely feel like that was a theme for me this week for sure. Before I jump into this, before I get into the questions, I've been working pretty darn hard this week. I, along with Suze and Thomas, went over and we did all 9 core solutions, as well as all the application. And so in 1 week, just similar to when I teach my classes here at the KNF Farm, which you can get into, they're happening January and February, knffarm.com. We went over all the solutions from start to finish and did them all. And so had to take a week off farming, and I just want to appreciate take a moment right here, right now to appreciate the folks that have supported me. So I'm just going to switch this over here. And this office hour is supported and sponsored by the Pure KNF Foundation, pureknf.org. And then also this last week, got some super chat donations from Healing Earth Remediations and from GoPro KNF, and got $100 sent to me from Jennifer. And just, it's this type of stuff where it's not, I'm not doing this for the money by any means, but it's this kind of stuff that really helps me continue to do what I do, and keeps it all going. So let me see here. And I also got a great letter here in my email from Carl. So Carl's up in England, and he's growing some great things, and just the shout out, just the love, just the recognition of knowing, I love doing this because I love the microbes themselves and I love what's happening. But to see these things, to have these donations come in, really helps me take my time off my farm. So anyway, enough of that. I don't want to push that too much. But I do here want to also, this last week, I also got up to another thing, which is now posted on YouTube, and something for you to check out here. And I am part of the Hawaii Farmers Union United, the president of the East Hawaii chapter, which there's 13 chapters across the state of Hawaii. And we're into family farming and regenerative ag. And I got this sweet hat that represents my chapter and such and so forth. But here on the the HFUU, the Hawaii Farmers Union United's YouTube page, I did a talk for them. You can see it right here. It's the pre-convention webinar number 6. But while I'm on this page, I just want to show you all these amazing YouTube videos that have, like, at the moment, like 16 or 12 or 19 views. And these are just amazing talks. Gail Baber talking with the hemp panel. So if you're into commercial hemp, all that, HFUU has been hugely supportive. We got mushroom panel, agronomists talking about soil. What is this? Farming in the desert. And then for the past month, since with all this other stuff we've been doing, for the past year, actually, we've been getting into all these music and speaker series. So all these start off with I think we had Micah Nelson play for us, who's Woody Nelson's son. All kinds of great artists. And, one of the most popular talks, I think, was Paul Stamets, who's down here somewhere. I think it's this one here. So if you don't know, you can just search HFUU on YouTube, and you'll find all these great talks. And again, I did another speaker series here, number 15, doing KNF with Drew Martin, who's an amazing guitarist. And it was just, I had more fun just watching the music and but delivering great talks to folks. And again, my talk this week was on Korean natural farming here, and I talked about inflammation, inflation, and climate change. So all those things as bringing those to the forefront, and want to deliver more and more content, just get this out, get these ideas into people's heads, because once we're aware of these problems and also the solutions that KNF can offer for these problems, and to me it's like viable solutions that are great. And so that's what my talk was all about, getting inspiring people to know what's up, what's happening, what's going on. So so I just wanted to turn you on to those great resources out there. Expand if you're into like good things, you want to listen to some upbeat things, check out the Hawaii Farmers Union United. It's a thing that I've been a part of for the past like 5 or 6 years. And it's really some of the best people in the state of Hawaii coming together for regenerative agriculture. And our convention is coming up, which is going to be online. So if you are interested in that, hit up hfuu.org. And I think you can pre-register for our convention, which is coming up December 10th, I think, right around that time. So anyway, thanks. Shout out to those guys. maybe one day they'll help to also kick down, sponsor the office hours. But right now, largely just volunteering because it's such a great thing. And I love, it's like I'm addicted to just sharing this information. So again, want to thank you for tuning in today. Gonna look quickly here. Oh, yes. GoPro dropped $5 more. Thanks. And just one thing, like the super chat, my mom was tuned into this the other day and she was like, how do I donate? And there's a little super chat at the bottom of the chat. There's like a little dollar sign looking thing. And if you click on that, I think you can kick some money down, and it's a nice way to just shout out during the show. And, and I'll mention you guys in the next episode, and I appreciate it. And, it's not like I really want to drive the point home that it's like, I'm here for you regardless of money, no money. Although if I do run out of money, it might be a huge problem and I might not show up, but I'm not relying just on you. I do have other sources, and I do work each day to make this happen. So I'll jump into a couple live questions, although I got some great email questions to dive into in a bit, but want to respect you guys for showing up here on time. And so Eyewitness is saying, made my first batch of FPJ from wildflowers the other day. Tried some of the syrup at the bottom of the bowl from making it and found myself in an unusually great mood for the rest of the day. That's what it is. And even it's even better. Like, so you're taking it, you're mixing it, you're getting that osmotic pressure to pull. If you follow the KNF food recipe, which is in my book, you'll pulling this juice out, right? And that juice is not just the crap from the cell. It is the best material in there. It's like the blood of the plant, like chlorophyll, because they don't quite have blood. But it's so nutritious for you. But if you let it ferment for 3 to 5 to 7 days, depending on your temperature, it will get even more biodigestible, because those microbes that are on the plant's surface are the exact microbes that are designed to break that material down and make it so digestible for you. So drinking it raw, drinking it fresh like that, it may be even better than juicing. Of course, it's mixed with sugar, so it makes it even that much more tasty. But that if you wait till it's fermented and you drink that juice, you're going to have even a better mood, I swear. So give it a try, give it a shout out. And somebody's saying, do you hear Dr. Park? Oh, you know what? Maybe when I was doing the pre-roll, maybe my sound is coming through. I should make sure that that's not happening. Oh, what? Healing Earth Remediation's helping it out again. You guys both so amazing. I really appreciate it. It's kind of interesting. Like it's encouraging because my YouTube, YouTube, if you're a content creator and you see the YouTube studio, it'll show your revenue. And forever it was like $30 a month for just years and years. And now it's rising. And I'm like, I show my wife and I'm like, look, it's actually worth my time that I take an hour out of my day to do this. It's rising up. So, but the other reason it's worth it is because look how many folks are tuning in. Look how many people are changing the world. Look how much KNF is spreading. And that's, but sometimes my wife's like, that's good. But, hey, so anyway, so I was queuing up a few videos. You did hear Dr. Park, and I will get to that. It's kind of creepy that my video or my sound was going when I thought it wasn't, but I'll work on that. So Healing Earth Remediation saying I'm slacking on making my IMO4, waiting till I have more time to babysit it for the week. Hopefully that's the week during Thanksgiving. I highly recommend that you do this. If you think you can make IMO4 or 3 or 4 and you're not going to make time out of your day, your week, to basically dedicate it to turning the pile, it's going to go over, the temperature is going to rise, and you're going to grow the wrong microbes. You need to babysit this. It's a super smart idea that you're taking the time. And I actually designed a little device here, and it's just a little prototype. It doesn't look like much, but these are little temperature probes that you can put into the IMO4 pile, and then it will send it down to another little device that I built here, this one. And this has a little buzzer on it, And so if your pile overheats, it will buzz at you and say, hey, time to turn the pile. And this little display right here will show you all 4 temperature probes, and then you can reset the alarm if it's buzzing on you. But this little device, because you don't want this pile to overheat. So unfortunately this week, unfortunately, I didn't use it because we were just on it to make the pile. And I'll show you here in a little bit, or maybe I'll jump into it now. Let's see here. Where's the photo I had queued up here? Yeah, I'll bring this over to this screen, and then this one over to this screen. Let's see here. Okay, and then transition that and check this out. So let's see, grab that one. Okay, so this is us getting into the pile and IMO spawing. So this is Sue's getting her whole body buried into the pile and enjoying the heat and the warmth of the microbes. And then that's me sitting there with my feet in the pile. And so I'll get to that a little bit later in this episode here, but just giving you a little preview of, it's what, like, take the time Thanksgiving week to get in your pile. In fact, if you're going to have friends and family over, invite them to sit around the pile like this, and everyone have their feet in there and get this healing, because this just even warming up your feet, if you have any foot fungus, anything like that, it'll just clean it out. And the piles, it's about 120 degrees, but it won't burn you. It's quite amazing. So I'll transition back here, get my screen back. So just wanted to share a little bit of that with you. I think it's a great idea. And so GrowPro is asking, is mineral A oxygenated basalt mineral water? And that's actually a mineral A. I'm not sure if it's basalt or not. I do know that mineral A is very close to seawater. So mineral A being, almost like just take salt water, or take salt and put it in water, or go collect water from the ocean, and you will have the pretty much what mineral A is. So if you're, I think that's the closest. And if you're talking about the bacterial mineral water systems, there is a video, if you search on my YouTube, for BMW bacterial mineral water. If you look into my playlists on my channel itself, there's a playlist that's based on KNF and water. And so that one has a bunch of these things, but maybe next week I'll remind myself to talk about this a little bit more, because there's these pictures of these rocks, and some of them are any geologist that's tuned into rocks should be able to recognize them, what they are. But basically you're dropping water like a waterfall onto these sharp rocks, and it's pulling those out to make these different things. And that's just the common way to do it. Master Cho apparently has a secret way that he's never taught anyone how to do. And I was hoping one day to learn that from him, but looks like now traveling to Korea or having him come here is a heck of a lot more challenging than it was in 2019. What's up, Stone Mason from Indiana? Stoked you're tuning in. Yeah, and Healing Earth Remediation is saying that, you can only get those mineral concentrates from Master Cho, and he's somehow able to do something beyond what just waterfall on rocks. He's able to get these things where his concentrate bottles are just off the hook in terms of minerals. When we've done scientific analysis on these things and looked at them, they are just off the hook in terms of liquid minerals that are available for the deal. So I could go further into the minerals. I'm not quite prepared today, so maybe in a future episode. So Eyewitness is saying I am waiting for the FPJ to get done to start IMO3. Good. Because it really helps if when you put the I call it KNF food, but the acronyms, if you put the fermented plant juice into the IMO3, it's really KNF food or fermented plant juice is the same as the plant root exudates. So when a plant is growing and it's collecting solar energy, it takes that energy and converts it into sugars and then releases those sugars in the root system. And those are then what does the biostimulation in your soil and encourages the fungus to reach out and the bacteria to bloom in different ways. And the plant can change what exudates it's putting out. And that plant, when you take the fermented plant juice out of it, you're getting an equivalent of root exudates. So when you put that into your IMO pile, that's what your soil biology is used to eating, is root exudates. It's not used to eating all this other stuff. Like it's used to eating minerals, which is why we had the dirt in the IMO4 stage, and it's used to eating these plant sugars that are in this great way. So it's important to make an FPJ, or what I call KNF food, before you make the IMO3. So if I made a cedar box to store it, do I need to make sure my box is big enough that I don't fill over 2/3 or something like that? And so reason for the 2/3, 1/3 airspace on most things is that Master Cho says that the 1/3 contains the vital powers, and those are like air. And he really gets into like a mystical part of this, where it's like chi, like even though he's a devout Christian and like really into that, he recognizes there's energy fields in nature and these forces. And I should maybe find one of those slides, but it's in his old lectures where he's talking about the heart of the farmer. In fact, I was looking at it last night, and so it helps if you have the airspace. So if you're talking about a cedar box to store it, like long-term storage, like after you've made your IMO3, it's going to be hard to always have it 2/3, because as you take stuff out, you're going to change the volume. And so it's not in storage. The basic thing I can tell you about storing things in natural farming is, like, if I have a container that's this big and I only have the very bottom bit of it filled, that's where things start to rot. Versus if you're from full down to like, maybe more than a tenth, it's like when you're down to like a 20th, or between a 10th and a 20th of things remaining, like even plant juice. If you have it just a tiny bit in a huge jar, it'll start to go bad faster. So anytime you're storing natural farming things, try to either fill them, get them 2/3 ideally, or just don't store a tiny bit. Switch it to a smaller container if you can. So looks like I'm getting a little lag today. My internet's over there behind me, but thanks for tuning in, and hope it's coming through clear for you guys. Good morning. Hello, chat. Hello, guys. Thanks. Hello, ladies, everyone in here. Yeah, $10 for an hour of the info is so cheap. Yeah. But I'm not doing it for the money. So, Jacob S is selling microgreens and has extra. He decided to make a fermented plant juice from this material. I was wondering if it's more bioavailable to plants similarly, and how is it supposed to be more bioavailable to humans? Okay, so microgreens are a great way. It's like you're growing sprouts. I mean, they're just the vigorous things coming up. Fermenting those, making those into a fermented plant juice, following the KNF food recipe, making it into that is so good, because in the sprout, there's all this vigorous energy. It's like, young things are always more energy, kids bouncing around, young plants growing so fast. So all this energy and growth hormones are in there. And when you mix it to make a fermented plant juice, you're putting the plant material here and the sugar right against it. And that sugar is exerting an osmotic pressure to pull that juice through. And then as it ferments, it becomes more digestible. It's as if, because if I just drink a raw juice thing, it's going to have to go into my stomach to be broken down by my microbes. But if you're doing a fermented plant juice, you're pulling that juice out. Then the microbes that were on that plant are doing the digestion of that juice that's come out, because they just get on there. And so how does it become more bioavailable? It's because it's being broken down by the microbes that are on that plant that are specifically designed to break down that material. And they do such a better job at it than my microbes do in my gut. And so that's why it's more bioavailable. And when you drink it, you don't have to do that digestion. It's just immediately absorbed into you. And so thanks. Shaman King is asking here, IMO collecting chamber is something GoPros suggested in a video comment. I'm not exactly sure. I'm not sure what the question is there. Healing Earth Remediations is saying, I have access to a saw mill wood. I'm going to use it to make IMO3. Okay. So if you're just going to use sawdust is a great texture. It's a great, but it is lacking the fats and the oils that things need. So take that, and like a simple solution I can think of is go, buy some instant potatoes. You know how they sell like that mashed potato stuff already at the store? Like instant potato type of thing. Take some of that, and if you can get it at like a bulk store where you can get and blend that into your sawdust, so that now you're amending it. So it's not just sawdust, because the microbes you're wanting to grow are, again, these soil-based microbes that are not these just like wood composting, wood breaking down, like a compost pile type of microbes. They're actually these soil-based microbes that are used to eating plant exudates and these other things that are more available than wood. Just tends to have too much lignin. And so if you can blend that at about 10%, 15% or so of like instant mashed potatoes with that's something you could just take, blend in. Now you're going to get a ferment that's even better in your IMO3. So I want to just be, careful that it's not just the texture you're looking for, because sawdust seems like, oh, it's perfect, it'd be great, but you need that extra food in there. You need the fats, the oils, the carbohydrates, the easily available things. So just be a little careful with that, and you'll get it. And he says he missed out during his batch of IMO3 for doing a spa. Every time I go up there, I at least I dive my hands into it to do it. But this week we also were able to film. I recently got a BCS, which is a mini tractor on 2 wheels, and then I got an attachment for it, which was a Power Ridger. Power Ridger 2 is what it was called, and it has and that thing, I can drive my BCS because it keeps it at the perfect height. There's a wheel on the front to keep the blade from diving into the ground. I can set it so it's just like a millimeter, centimeter above the soil, and then I can run my BCS through it. So to make it turning my piles, this was the first time I had this equipment. I've seen it done in Korea, but this was the first time we turned the pile with the BCS, and it just made life easier. I just run the BCS through it, mixes it really well, and then with the shovel, pile it back up. But I also like shoveling it, breathing it in, jumping into it, doing all those things too. Is there a good soil recipe for practicing KNF for plants grown in containers? Yes. I really should pull this up. It's in my YouTube, but it's in a Master Cho lecture in when he was in Papaiko talking, and someone asked him about what is the right blend of soil, and I think he was talking like, and I don't want to just quote this off the top of my head. I should really find my notes from there, or just go back to the original source video and find it. But basically what I know what he does recommend is about whatever good soil blend you have, make 10% of that IMO4. So whatever potting soil you were going to go with, just make 10% of it IMO4. And it's basically, that's what he's growing, the little potting soil mix. And if you already have mixed your soil, the key is just to build soil foundation. So what that enables, or what that entails, is to take your IMO4, dust it around the surface, then take your soil solution, which is, if you don't know what that is, you can get the KNF solution calculator on the Android store, put in, say I wanted to water in 1 gallon, hit calculate, and there you go. Even though you probably can't see this because it looks like it's flickering here, but it gives you the exact ratio, and you put that soil. Oh man, did it mess up my camera now? It's all dark now. You put your soil on there. Let's see, hopefully. Will it come back? Oh no, did I mess up my camera? Forever I'm going to be dark and it's going to be light behind me. Maybe I got to get in front of that. Oh no, the brightness. Oh, technical difficulties of the modern age, 2021. Anyway, so I guess that's what happens when you put a phone too close to the screen. Let me see if I can black it out. No. Okay. No, it's not any better. All right. Well, anyway, you're just going to have to deal with this. It's not like you really wanted to see me anyway. Some more of the audio and the good things I put up on the screen. So, okay. So watching that video, yeah, we'll put up more videos, continue to do that. Can you break down the costs coming from your farm for classes? Was a little confused on the website. Okay. So, just so you know, I had to get the prices, but let me just pull this up here, pull up the KNF Farm and go over it and transition to this guy. So if you're at KNF Farm and you're looking at this and you're looking at the costs, I have it says on this page between $1,800 and $4,000, which, shoot, man, money. It still makes the world go round. But man, for that, what I deliver to you, and let me just be clear on that, is I just clicked here on the select options for this. So I'm going to look at my February class here. And if I go to a 1-person cottage, that means if it's just you and you want a private, like 5-star Airbnb private cottage that we have with its own private bathroom, access to the kitchen, and it's a queen or a king bed, and just you, it's $2,500. That way it covers the lodging, and this price here also includes food, which is I believe. I should double check on that, but I know it includes dinner for sure, and I think lunch and dinner. I think you might be on your own for breakfast, but I'll clear up what you actually do get in terms of food, because I just started including that with the price. Previous to this, it was an extra cost, but really want to make it affordable for folks. And then if you go here to the 2 people in the same cottage, which means 2 people in the same house sharing the queen bed, which we do have blow-up beds. So if you want to go with a buddy and they want to sleep on the floor, or you just want to, spoon and really get to know the person, you can do that. And this way, between you and your friend, you save $1,000, because otherwise it'd be $2,500 for just one. But bring somebody else with you, you can get in for $4,000, which is... and then the other option here is the camping option, which is we have some covered areas on the land where you can set up a tent, or you can just be out in the grass field if that's your jam. And with this, you have access to the shower that's right here behind me, hot showers, the kitchen, everything included with that. We have Wi-Fi on the property, so you can be networked in, live stream it, broadcast it to the world. And then I want to get into what do you actually get though with the training, right? So up here under KNF trainings, about the trainings, I want to drop into so that's your lodging, right? And it's you're here, you get to stay at the most, I don't know, one of the more beautiful places on the island. And here I get to see a little bit more of this, but, and you get to immerse into the farm. But so what do you get in terms of the training? Like, what do I do with you, and what are you going to leave with, and how are you going to take this, besides just staying in like one of the most beautiful places in Hawaii and immersing in our farm and getting into all this? You also get like a complete level 1, because the reason I offer this is because some folks don't have access to this, and I was working on this to get it to go. But really what a level 1 certificate means is that you know how to apply natural farming, Korean natural farming. You know how to, in any case, you know all the 9 solutions, what they are, and you know how to take the 7 formulas. You know how to look at a plant and know how to give it a diagnosis. This would be like you are a farmer that can use these solutions to accomplish whatever you need to do. So that's what a level 1 is. That's you're a practitioner certification. You know what to do. So by the time you leave this farm, you shouldn't, you can still jump on the office hour and ask questions, because it's always good to refresh, and it's like drinking from a fire hose while you're here, but you should know how to apply it. Level 2 is that you got in to know how to make the solutions. So this is something, you can learn on the internet, you can learn by videos, but it doesn't give you the taste, it doesn't give you the feel. And I give you so much more on this. Like it's the primary part of why the reason you're here is we go into in depth of how to make all these solutions and how to go through them, how to make sure they're correct. So you should be able to, with a level 2 certification, be able to evaluate your solutions, know you've made them correctly, manufacture them, and be just top notch in the creation of these solutions. Then I also, for the same price, for the same everything, all-inclusive package, you also get a level 3 certification, which is a teacher certification. So this is more than just like learning the solutions as level 2. This is actually, I teach you how to teach and how to present this, how to run a class, how to connect with your audience, how to find more resources, how to get connected into the community, how to, I've been an elementary school teacher for 5 years prior to going full time into my farm, and so I am like a teacher. I've worked with kids, and if you've worked with kids, you can convey this information to anybody and anyone who needs it. So I try to give you as much of that as possible. You, through the teacher certification, the level 3, you actually do some teaching, and then we get to evaluate you as a teacher so that you can improve what you're doing. And then also part of what you get at the farm is hands-on livestock fundamentals. So my farm largely revolves around not only the food we grow for the animals and the food we grow for market, but also the livestock. I show you what we're doing with our cows, our pigs, our chickens, the whole setup. I've taken what I've seen in Korea and replicated it here, and it's been decades of work to get this thing to just be like just top shelf education on the livestock. So their feed, their everything you get. And then, of course, it's hard for me to take a whole week off just teaching. So we also get you to help on the farm. And through that, you learn by doing. We apply IMOs, we go out, we build soil foundation, we cut back some grass. I show you the tools I use on the farm to manage all this. You get to be part of this. And harvesting bananas, whatever we got coming ripe. You can be part of that. So really you get a full farm experience. If you're already a farmer, you'll be pro at this. It'll be fun. And if you're just getting into it, it's like, nothing like getting a few blisters, although I don't know if anyone's gotten a blister yet, but getting into it. So that's what you're getting. You're getting all this all inclusive. Not only are you staying in one of the most beautiful places, you're also getting, time here with us. We'll spend time, dinners, ask questions, get further knowledge, get fully immersed in KNF for a full week. But you also get a level 1, 2, and 3, from the Pure KNF Foundation. And those are, it's you'll have this confidence to be fully a KNF person. So just want to let you guys know about that, since there was a question on it, and going in detail on that of like, what do you really get? Is it worth it? You know, every single person that's come through has been like, wow, this was like more than I expected. And so now that you're expecting more than you expect, maybe, you know, it's hard to do that, but it's just it's been life-changing for every single person that's come through. I've really enjoyed our relationship that we build, you know, getting to projects, you know, it's just so fulfilling for me and everyone to get into this. I feel like, you know, what else am I doing with my life other than trying to, you know, get more microbes in the world, help people with agriculture. I don't know. I could talk about it forever. It's so rewarding. Let's see if I can fix the camera a little bit. Nope. Shouldn't have put the phone that close. That's, anyway, live and learn, right? Live and learn. So anyway, I don't want to talk about this the whole time, but man, is it worth it? Man, is it something to get into? Woman, is it something? I don't want to just only talk to dudes, although kind of interesting, most of my YouTube is dudes. It's only about 5% women that tune in, but I love the women farmers. In fact, most of the people that come to train, it's actually really well balanced between men and women. And shout out to all the lady farmers, shout out to the guys, you know, all of us getting into the land, making it happen. So Eyewitness rejoices that Master Cho is a Christian. Yeah, you know, it's all good. You know, religion, it's about, what are you doing? How are you showing up for the world? You know, I feel like today we get labels so much this way, that way, but really what it's about is like, how are you showing up? How are you mimicking these great masters and these great people and serving and showing up because you're here, right? And it's through us, through our hearts, through our love that we can shine and bring people. And that's the reason I respect Master Cho. He lives what he does, and he is it. So I'm going to take a couple more of these here, jump into this. And I do have a few other questions I want to get to, but I think it'll all work out. So Gene is asking, how often do you utilize leaf mold soil in bed preparation before the amending process in vegetable farming? So this is an interesting question. How often do I utilize leaf mold soil? So I oftentimes just kind of garden in situ. Take what's there, I'll shape my beds, and then I will put down IMO4 as a as a soil foundation, and then I'll water it with these Korean natural farming solutions. So following the soil prep solution, that one I put up earlier and put too close to this screen camera, and I don't necessarily use a bunch of leaf mold, because if I leave the leaf mold in the forest continues to get richer, and I can take the IMOs through the IMO4 process, building all those up, put them down on my soil. They then teach the microbes that are there. However, I do use a lot of organic matter or mulch. So I'm not using leaf mold particularly, but what I am using is a bunch of, and if you follow what I do, I often do it in pile tech. So I'll make a pile. And the difference is, you know, in vegetable farming, you know, I'm growing cassava, taro, you know, and those aren't like lettuces. So if I was doing lettuces, probably what a way to do it is to mulch in my pathways and to make it so that instead of putting a bunch of leaf mold soil, trying to take the soil that's there, grow it, and let those reach into the wood chips that are in the pathways. So those then enter into the garden beds and those things. So I don't use too much of it. You know, I sometimes I have a few bamboos on the property, and I'll use a few of those bamboos as the leaf mold to put on there. But I'm not gathering, like, to me, leaf mold is not the leaves where there's mycelia. It's actually that balled up soil right below that layer. And I try to just leave it there and then build soil where I'm at. So So to answer that question, kind of long, but I don't really use it that often. I suppose you could, but I don't. The question is, how can we make an IMO collecting chamber? Okay, so sorry, I kind of got away from this. I should stay more up on the lives, but the question is, IMO collecting chamber, always put 2/3 above, or excuse me, 1/3 airspace, 2/3 rice, or 2/3 starch, whatever it is, and always leave the 1/3. So if you're going to build it out of cedar, always leave 1/3 above. Do it. It'll work out great. And we'll have a great video coming about that. So yeah, thanks for pumping up the KNF app. It is a time saver if you don't like going through notes. Thanks for the $5 Healing Earth Remediation. Okay, cool. Yeah, and always since Healing Earth Remediations was talking about this and he's piecing out, I do want to show you guys that I kind of pump this every time, but it is, if you're looking for where to find these when you're recording them later, if you don't find them on YouTube, they're at knfsupport.com, which is a project by our foundation. If you click right here on the right, you can download my ebook, get all the recipes, but also up here, if you click on this office hours tab, you will see that office hours show up here live. So here they all are popping up for us. And you can look at those, and then also, I think that's how it works. Yeah, so you just click here on the office hours tab, and this is what you see, so you can catch up with all the old ones, get into them, get them good, and so okay, so so Stonemason is asking right on. So the 2,500 for the class includes the lodging. I don't let people stay off the farm right now because I did prior to it, and what I ended up doing was those people ended up not getting such a great integration, because if you're not staying here on the farm, there's a lot of stuff that happens that's after hours. Like you have to go turn the IMO pile at 7:00 at night and then turn it again at like 6 a.m. And so if you're staying off the farm and you go home at like, after we're done with class, or we start class at 10 in the morning or 9 or whenever, after breakfast, after we get together, it's like you're missing the integration of it. And I find that when people stay on the farm, they get so much more out of it. So right now I've been kind of putting it so that people stay here. They're great accommodations. It's not like I'm making you stay in the bushes or in some hippie hut. Like these used to be Airbnbs that we're running. They're really nice. I mean, the folks that stayed last class were like, oh, you don't really have much photos of your place. And they're like, this is like amazing. And it's just, so anyway, trying to do that. So, and Eyewitness says, my goal is to become certified to teach, but money and traveling are so tight right now. Unfortunately, one day, though, KNF saved me, man, and I feel like a child and can't turn my back on it at this point. I appreciate it. Reach out for some financial support. We used to offer financial support through our foundation, but then the students that ended up taking the financial support ended up kind of falling through the cracks on a lot of things, and we felt like from our foundation it wasn't the best value through the Pure KNF Foundation. So, but reach out for some financial support. I know there's people out there that will help, especially if you're going to come back and teach them. Asking some people to get together. Some people have done GoFundMes in the past, and it's worked really well for them. So I think, if it's meant to be, it'll be, God will provide. So so I'm going to jump into a few questions here that I got from the emails, and then I appreciate the live question. I'll jump to this last one here, which is, is it okay to keep your bones in your calcium phosphate while you're doing it? As long as it's not starting to grow scobies on top, it is. I recommend you pour it off. There's no reason to keep the bones in there. You can take the bones out and actually bury them under a plant, and you're going to get even better things happening. So So I'm going to jump into some of the email questions here. If you do want to email me a question, it's drake@pureknf.org, and I'll take those questions, appreciate them. Mao Camacho, he's the guy who was asking a couple episodes prior about planting the forests in Malaysia or Cambodia. I think it was Malaysia. And so he's saying he understands the reason for raw brown sugar, but he's not entirely sure why to stick with cane sugar and why not use alternatives like palm or coconut. And so in your region of the world, if you can get palm or coconut sugar cheaper, I recommend you do it. The one sugar I would not recommend wholeheartedly is beet sugar. And this goes to the biodynamics aspect of it, where Rudolf Steiner was talking about cane sugar rising up, whereas beet sugar is under the ground. And it's more on like this mystical type of level. If all you can get is beet sugar, use it. Don't let anything stop you from growing. It's rule 0 of Korean natural farming. Always do your best. Always get into it. But if you can find other sugars that are above the ground, like palm or coconut, use those. They're great. And it's still not clear to him why we shouldn't bury the KNF microbes. And this means like burying them meters deep. And the reason is that the KNF microbes are aerobic, meaning they're not anaerobic. And if you bury them, they are going to lose oxygen. So unless you're able to highly oxygenate the soil, which anytime it rains or it gets wet, it's just going to compress back down. Anytime they're buried to a deep depth and they can't get that oxygen, they then rot. And so as opposed to it turning into good microbes for the soil, they're actually going to rot and then cause pathogens to bloom. So burying them can be you've taken all this time and energy to make these microbes and their microbial spores, and then you bury them. Case in point is take some IMO4 and put it in a bucket and then fill it with water. And in 3 or 4 days, it's going to smell horrendously bad. It's just going to rot and just stink. And it's that same thing that's happening under the ground. If you bury these KNF microbes, these IMOs under the ground, then they rot the same way. It just stinks. It creates putrid. It releases methanes, all kinds of gross things coming off. So that's why not to bury them. You took so much time and energy to make them. It's best to top dress. Put them in there, water them in. They will water down. They will percolate down, especially if there's airspace to go. They will go down where they need to go. Fear not, like they will. Just top dress with them and they will go where they are, especially if there's amendments and other things for them to chase after. They will go down. So put them on the surface. It's going to turn out better for everybody. And then Mao was also saying, you often mention the great benefits of taking KNF solutions yourself, but there seems not to be really a guide for human consumption as there is for plants. Well, reason for that is that if you start making human supplement decisions, there are regulating agencies that will come and put you in jail and ban you and all kinds of things. They do not want competition, and there are certain regulating bodies that say this is what this is, and I never make medical recommendations for people because of that exact reason. That so he's just wondering if there's anything to be careful with, maybe the amount or frequency of taking something. Absolutely, just like anything, the whole point of KNF is actually to bring you into balance. It's not to overdo something. It's if you have a deficiency, it's to balance you. If you take something too much of a good thing is too much of a good thing. So it's always about balance. And then he's asking about the IMO baths should only be performed by someone who knows what they're doing, right? Or can anyone jump into their pile? Now, your nose knows, okay? So if you're smelling your pile and it smells like soil, like good soil, it smells like a baking bread, then jump in there, okay? And I'm going to show you again the pictures of us doing it this week. This pile that you see us in, you see the texture of it. It's nice. There's no what do they call them? I can't think of it on the spot, but this other type of microbe, these are all soil-based ones. We've been turning this pile from this side to that side, and then Sue's wanted to lay in it. So can anyone jump in their pile? Your nose knows if it smells good to you and it doesn't smell. I thought of the name. It's acetomycenes. And it's not those guys which smell like asphalt, like wet asphalt, and it smells like baking bread or the forest floor. Feel free. Go. I mean, and this is not medical advice, but jump in this. And then since you're asking about this, I did pull up this video here. Where is it? It's on this one here of Dr. Park. And this is Dr. Hoon Park. He's a pediatrician. And this is him talking about the microbe bath. So I don't think you guys can hear that because I don't think the volume's coming through. But this thing is called IMO bath to purge pathogens from the body. And he's talking about the process of how he does that. And then if you're looking for further information on the IMO bath, right here, and this is on my channel, it's called Pure KNF IMO bath. And this here shows us bathing in Korea. So this is my mentor, Uncle David Wong here, fully buried in this huge bath. And then here looking through, this is this other guy from Taiwan that was with us. And then, here's Mr. Lee getting a thing ready, and then burying this Chinese lady, Taiwanese lady here, and just burying them, maybe 8 inches deep in the pile. And then I think also in this video, there's a video of Master Cho just sitting there, watching us. We dress in these clothes before we get buried so that the microbes aren't right against you, and go into the pile. And it's so relieving. And then here's Mr. Lee on his tractor to till it after we're all done. Mix that IMO pile really nice. So he's doing large piles. All of these microbes go to feed his quail farm. So he's turning a pile like this every week to feed the quails, mix it into their food. So he can do dual purpose, treat people for their health and then put them into their things. And then there's also one more thing on my channel, which I don't know if, let me just see here. I should actually switch this over here and find it for you. But there is just searching KNF human health, and right here, transition back to this. So I just searched KNF human health, and then here's a lecture of Master Cho actually talking about human health. So when he was here in Hawaii one time giving oh crap, that was loud. We were asking him to specifically speak of human health. So here's him and Dr. Park doing a lecture on human health, and he talks about, the IMOs and these processes and how to do it. So this may be helpful for you to find out a little bit more. Would love to put out more of this, but you cross a fine line when you start to talk about these things, because there are regulating bodies that do not want competition in this realm. So anyway, kind of a little bit longer on that guy. Get back to this. And let's see here. We got a couple more questions. I touched on this topic last week, but he's wondering where he can learn about more for KNF for rice cultivation. Would IMO1 for the forest still be suitable for these conditions, or is there a better way to take collections from riverbanks? So actually, the IMO1 for rice, this is something from the forest is great, because you're getting those indigenous microbes that are learning. They're the forest fungal microbes. Those are the microbes you want to get growing in there. But there's actually another tip, that when you take a rice plant and you cut it, juice will emerge out of that rice plant. And so if you have rice growing and you take a basket of rice of cooked rice. You cut the rice plant itself, it'll start to ooze. And as those tips are oozing, take your basket, turn it upside down on top of those rice plants. The bacillus that starts to grow right there of putting it direct contact with your rice plant, obviously it's going to be a dry field because you dry it out to harvest, but right on top of those juices that come up into your rice are going to be phenomenal at growing rice. The bacteria, the stuff you collect. So usually we tell you put 2/3 and bury the box in the forest. This is another method where you take this rice box, cook it, and flip it upside down so that you're in direct contact with the rice plants right after you cut them. So they're freshly cut. Leave that about 3 to 5 days and you will get phenomenal microbes for your rice. So sort of a small biohack, because Master Cho is so well versed in rice, they have those things out there. So I'm gonna take a couple more questions. I know it's 10 o'clock. It's my office hour's up, but I'm gonna go a little bit longer, office hour and a quarter maybe. And so someone, Chayton is saying, hey, thanks for doing the office hours. They're super helpful. Appreciate it. Hope you're finding this helpful as well. Hope you're doing good things with these things. And he said he's starting to learn many different methodologies of non-chemical farming, and there tends to always be debates on which method is better. But that makes me wonder, why compete when you can collaborate? Like, for example, can you mix IMO4 and Dr. Elaine's BioComplete compost, and maybe even sprinkle in some Johnson Su bioreactor compost? If the point is to add diversity in microbes, wouldn't it be an excellent way to achieve that? Or is it better to just stick to one school of thought? And of course, KNF itself is about diversity. I always say, hybridize this. Take these techniques, combine it with what works. I tend to find that Master Cho's recipes are some of the peak technology in terms of what he's doing. Like, for instance, IMO4 is the best at getting microbes to build soil foundation. Now, Elaine's compost and the Johnson Su bioreactor compost may be better for growing plants, but if you follow Korean natural farming, you would make what they call a fermented mixed compost, which means that you are doing something similar to Elaine or the Johnson Su, where what you're doing when you're composting is you're adding in 10% of your IMO4. So you're getting those indigenous microbes plus these other things where the things are breaking down, and it's sort of like, do these methods compete? No, but KNF is almost like a complete farming system in itself, that other farming systems have these fragments of it. And if you know how to integrate your KNF into these other systems and how to make them more collaborative, more synergistic, you are going to get even better results. So they're not at competition at all. You shouldn't go one way or the other, but to understand how they integrate into each other, you're going to be better. So yeah, fermented mixed compost. However, one thing I do advise is to just put soil foundation at first, and to not over amend your garden beds when you're first starting, to not over amend, the hole you're planting a tree in, the garden beds, to let your plant grow a little bit. That'll make the plant put out roots to reach for these nutrients. Then after a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, depending on your growth cycle, come back with a compost. Come back with a rich, with manures, or in my case, I would use my pig pen bio. Come back with a fermented mixed compost. So don't put the mixed compost, don't put that stuff, don't put the bio there to start, because the plant will be like, oh, I got all these nutrients right here. I'm just going to go right here. Give it a hard knock life. Give it one where it's not spoiled as a child. It has to reach out to find the nutrients. Then come back and amend with these things. So it's kind of, just think of raising a child. It's like, you got to just make it earn a living early, and then it will know how to earn a living through its whole life. And if life gets easier, it's even better. And then he's also asking, on that same note, but sticking to KNF, can you mix different IMO4s together, or use IMO4 of my friend in his garden? Or does it always have to be IMO4 done with your soil? And as long as they're in the same climate region and they're in the same area, the same temperature profile type of thing, You can move IMO4 around. It doesn't have to be like, oh, I got it from this land. It has to go on this land. In Korea, they make IMO4 in these big machines, and they use it within that region, like within that, I don't know, municipality. I don't know what they call it, like province, or it's not quite that, but they use it within these municipalities. So it's not like it has to come from my land and go back to my land. Sure, it will probably be a little bit more indigenous and more adapted, but if I give it to my neighbor down the road, he's going to be totally fine. You know, I'm not driving like several miles. I'm not going to the other side of the island where it's much more dry and trying to bring IMO. I'm using it right here, and my friend farms across the street, and I give him IMO all the time, and his plants do fabulous with it. And then he's also asking about FPJs. Can I mix more than one into the maintenance solution? Yes, you can. In fact, oftentimes I'll make my maintenance solution with just one type of FPJ, but then when I'm going to combine the maintenance solution into an actual one of the 7 formulas, I'll actually add even a more FPJ. And I should probably get a little bit more into that of how we're doing that. And I'm actually kind of working on that project right now of making these really solid application videos to answer these types of questions of how, okay, now I got these 9 solutions. How do I combine them for the most effect? How do I make them the most effective? Can I combine multiple FPJs? Yes. In fact, I'll just give you a little pro tip right now. When you're going to mix a solution and it says dilute FPJ 1 to 500, you can do that same thing with 3 FPJs. So if you did it, you know, and it might seem kind of counterintuitive, but you don't change the dilution, meaning that if here, say I'm trying to mix up like this jar here, and this called for 2 milliliters of fermented plant juice, I could pour in 2 milliliters of plant juice from like a comfrey plant. I could pour in 2 milliliters from a dropwort. I could pour 2 milliliters in from a sweet potato. So in essence, I've added 6 milliliters of fermented plant juice to this. And you might think, oh, that's too much. It's not. The way FPJ works, the way they synergize. Now, if I went to add a 4th, a 5th, a 6th, like more things, like I was going to add a different plant juice, that's when you'd start to reduce your quantity. So don't go higher than 3 times what it calls for. So if I was to add 5 of these in here, I would then only add 1 milliliter instead of 2 milliliters of each to get it more balanced within that level. And the problem is if you do add too many fermented plant juices, which I call KNF food, is you just get too much sugar. It can cause overpest problems. It can cause all these things to happen. So with that, thanks for tuning in. I'll jump back to the live right now, and I think I'll screenshot these and take these questions for next time, because I see there's some great ones about LAB and laundry and all that. And Eyewitness, thanks for the donation, appreciate it. Definitely mention you guys up next time. Get these things together. I really, I just want to recognize the people who help make this happen, and long live the natural farmer. If you're interested in classes, KNF Farm. And I want to mention again that this office hour is brought to you by lovely people like you, and also the Pure KNF Foundation. So, this bringing KNF to the forefront, giving it a place. Again, this has our research support certification about us. We even published the KNF Times a little bit earlier this year. And here there's microbial theory. And very soon we'll have a complete learning series up and get all that together. So just want to shout out to everybody, and thanks for tuning in. Definitely see you next week. Looking forward to it. If you want to send your questions in, again, my email is Drake, DRAKE at pureknf. That's PUREKNF.org. And looking forward to it. Thanks. Long live the natural farmer. Aloha.